this is also a very nice study that we are actually going to submit for publication soon. What prompted the study is the following. So we know that people with Down syndrome are at risk of Alzheimer's dementia, and this is well established. However, people typically refer to dementia in Down syndrome as a variable condition or a condition of variable onset, let's say. And instead, when you think of other genetic conditions associated to Alzheimer's disease, like autosomal dominant AD, we typically associate them with a predictable onset. And so we thought, but why not in Down syndrome? They have this genetic predisposition to develop Alzheimer's disease. Perhaps their dementia is also as predictable as the autosomal dominant forms. And so that's what we did. So we conducted a systematic review to investigate in published studies, what was the onset of Alzheimer's disease in Down syndrome, what was the age at death in those with dementia, and what was the duration of their disease. And we found overall 44 studies looking at these outcomes. And what we saw is that the onset of Alzheimer's disease in Down syndrome was very consistent among the studies. So it was very comparable. And then we used two approaches to investigate whether the variability that we can see within a study. So let's say, what is the span in which an individual can develop cognitive symptoms, was comparable to autosomal dominant Alzheimer's disease or not? And what we found actually is that the span at which 95% of individuals could develop cognitive symptoms was comparable between Down syndrome and autosomal dominant Alzheimer's disease. So we looked at different mutations that had published outcomes on age at symptom onset. And we found that the variability was indeed comparable. So we think that this study is important because knowing that people with Down syndrome have, how can I say this, not a consistent, but like a conserved age at onset, then this is going to allow enrollment into clinical trials at well-defined time points, and is going to allow us to study the disease and test drugs better.